What's going on, comic book fans? Welcome to another episode of the Comic Book Reader's Digest. And here we're going to be talking today about how I got into comic books and read my first comic book as well as my first purchase of a comic book. So, before I get into it, be sure to like the video. And also, if you haven't subscribed to me, please hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps the channel out. So, when I was 12 years old, back in '94, I remember going to Camp Wadiko in Ashby, Mass. For the summer. By the way, I'm originally from Boston, Mass, born and raised. So, just to give you, clarity on that. So, and my cabin camp counselor, whose name I can't remember, but he was cool. He was really cool as fuck. Pardon my French. He had inside his camera and his, well, you say his in his bed quarters, he had a vast comic book collection, and he had a collection of music CDs as well. He was heavy into rap, but he was definitely big on Ice Cube. And by the way, in case you guys are wondering, his race, not that it matters, he's white. I just wanted to give you context by saying that because he embraced all cultures. So he wasn't biased. He didn't have a biased bone or racist bone in his body. Just want to clarify. So, and I remember when it was bedtime at the cabin, he would lend me a couple of comic books to read before I went to sleep, And the comic books he lent me was Scarlet Spider and Spider-Man comics, which was pretty much, they were all tied together because it was part of the Clone Saga at the time. So I believe I was able to read like a quarter of it because at that time the whole Clone Saga wasn't released, so there was a lot of issues that wasn't released yet at the time. So there were times even like when it was lights out, he would give me a flashlight so in case if I couldn't go to sleep, I'd be able to read the comic books while everybody else was sleeping in the dark. So that was very cool of him. He went the extra mile so I could read most of his collection. But I was mostly at the time. I think I was just into Spider-Man and shit like that. So Spider-Man was the only comic I was dealing with at the time. That's how I got into my love for Marvel. So that same year, when summer was winding down, and I returned home from summer camp in '94, the Spider-Man cartoon debuted. And it wasn't until the alien costume Venom saga I saw Spider-Man wearing that symbiote costume, the suit. I was hyped to read even more comics. But what compelled me to actually go to the comic book store, there was a show on Nickelodeon that same year that Spider-Man came out. It came out a little later. It was called My Brother and Me. There was a scene where one of the brothers and his friend went to the comic book store. And I was like, man, I need to hit up one of those stores ASAP. So I was getting $25 a week every weekend for my allowance. So one weekend, I took my $25 and went to a comic book store called Newbury Comics, which ironically was on Newbury Street in Boston, Mass. Okay? So when I walked in the store for the first time, I was amazed and overwhelmed at how many comic books and other products filled up the store. Like I felt like a fat kid in a candy store. So I started browsing around, looking through all the comic books that was displayed on the shelves and whatnot. And one just caught my eye, and it was that Venom Lethal Protector comic book. And it reminded me so much of the Spider-Man cartoon, that I watched. And I immediately took it off the shelf, went to the cashier to buy it. I think at that same time, at that time, I think the book cost at least $10. Probably worth a hell of a lot more now, but back then, comics and stuff wasn't too expensive. And it wasn't until I played Spider-Man Venom Separation Anxiety game for the Super Nintendo that I realized the game was based on the Lethal Protector comic book that I bought. And the rest, they say, is history. So I've been buying and reading comics ever since, man. Yeah, I mean, I always love comic books. I love comic book movies, comic book games, anything, everything comic books. So, and that's why I just recently started this channel, because I'm gonna be bringing you guys a whole lot more content. I'm gonna start getting into Marvel, DC movie review soon. I'm just trying to blueprint that stuff out. So yeah, if you enjoyed my story of how I got into comic books and everything comic book related, definitely hit the like button. Glad you guys was able to tune in. Appreciate the view, and stay tuned for the next episode. Um, Once again, thanks for reading. Thanks for visiting the Comic Book Reader's Digest. You guys enjoy your day.